cross.
You can start that.
Ready? This stone, the Celtic cross, was erected by my father, Micheal.P.Hyland, in memory of his father, also called Micheal.P.Hyland. Now, Micheal.P.Hyland was my grandfather, and at the other side, I won't, not this side, but on this side, you have my father's name. But on this side, we have his Micheal.P.Hyland, again my grandfather. We're going to talk about his sons. And the first son here is William. William died at the very young age of 36, followed by Joseph. Joseph died at a very young age of 38.
Now he married and had a child, but the wife went on to marry a man called Kelly.
Yes, his Joseph's wife, her name was Julia, and they had one child, and he again is called Joe, or Joseph.
Now this is the man I met last night. He runs the Kelly Bar.
He runs the Kelly Bar down in Burns Street. Now, after Joe's death, sometime later, his Joe's wife, Julia, married again to a man called Kelly, and hence the name on the pub is now Kelly. But Kelly was such a nice man, a great man, Joe would never dream of removing that name and substituting Hyland, so it remains Kelly's Bar. But incidentally, Joe has two stepbrothers, also by Joe's wife and the new husband, Kelly. Yes. Later down here, Josephine.Hyland is my sister, the youngest one to be born. Lived only a few months and died.
You were about 12 years old?
I was 12 years of age, and that was a very sad event. Now we're coming along here to Mary.Hyland. Mary.Hyland is my grandmother, the wife of the first Micheal.Hyland, and she lived at a very old age of 85. And then we come down here to John.Hyland.
Yes.
John.Hyland died at, you can see right here, he was 58 years of age. He left Carlow quite young, joined the British Army, reached the rank of sergeant, was stationed out in Aden, and again, unfortunately, he picked up malaria, which didn't do him any good. He came back and lived in Portsmouth, and he worked in the dockyard, having previously been in the army to give him a job in the dockyard. And as you see here again, he died in 1948. Now we go to the other end of the Celtic cross, and we have Elizabeth.Hyland. Her previous name was Mulhall from Carlow. And Lizzie died the same age as John, again at 58. They married and lived in England. She stayed in Carlow while he was in the army, but they settled down in Portsmouth. Now we come along here to Martin.Hyland. Martin.Hyland again was a brother to my dad, as previously mentioned, and he died at the age of 65. He never married. He lived with his mother, which is my grandmother. And lastly down here we have Micheal.Hyland. He was my father and brothers to the previous mention. He died at the ripe old age of 88. And his wife, Mary.Hyland, commonly known as Molly.Hyland, again lived to be 88.
Okay, I remember coming here when I was 14 and seeing her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a few more on the other side of the Celtic cross. This is also Mary.Hyland.
Brendan's wife.
No, that's Brendan's wife. Brendan is my brother, and she died quite young, 60 years of age.
Yeah.
Mary has a daughter still living.
Susan.
And Susan again has a son and a daughter.
Oh yes, she's getting married this August, I tell you. Scottish chap.
What about winds that up? So my father had 7 sons and 1 sister.
Now, Joseph, your uncle, and his son Joe, he has no children, but he was the only one who had children, or was there another?
Okay, Michael, on this one, Micheal.P.Hyland, my father, he had 7. Sorry, he had 8. One that died very early. That's Josephine we've spoken about.
Yeah.
William had no children. I believe William had one baby that died. Could have had a baby, but it died in childbirth. Joseph, he died at 38. He had one son called John. We already spoke about that. John, the one that was in England, no children. Martin, also no children. Now, there's also a dad's brother called Paddy, not buried here. He's buried up in Carrick and Shannon, where he worked all his life. And there's also a Dinny Hyland. Denny's also a brother to my dad, and he died and was buried in Dublin. Now there was one girl in that family, and she was called Sis. Only called Sis because she was the only girl. Everybody called her sister, and hence Sis, and sometimes Sissy. But her proper name is Catherine or Kate. And
Something
she's buried out in what I call in Loughlin, because she lived out there. Her married name was Nevin.
I see.
So she's probably buried with her husband in Loughlin.
So,
Winds that little bit up, I think. Do you have any more?
of your grandfather, of my great-grandfather, Micheal.P.Hyland, the matriarch here at the top, is only his son. He only had 2 sons that had children. Oh wait, sorry, 3. One is Joseph, and he has 1 son who's childless, and I saw him for the first time yesterday.
Yeah.
We'll probably see him tonight at the bar.
Yeah.
There's your father, who had many children.
He had 7.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep saying 7. He had 8, but one died very young.
Yes. And of course there's the other one in England, who's not buried here.
Well, there's no sons. What do you mean?
The one you mentioned that there could be another uncle that's buried in England.
No, I didn't.
Didn't you say that?
No, I didn't say that, John. Sorry about that.
Which one did you mention that is not buried here?
Denny. Denny is buried in Dublin.
But does he have sons?
He had no children. And Paddy Hyland, another brother, is buried up in Carrick and Shannon. He had 2 sons. That are still living around that area.
So you do actually have some cousins on the Highland side somewhere around.
Oh, many of them, yeah. Great many. Yeah.
Well, really? You only have Joe and these 2 sons. They're your cousins on your father's side.
Apart from my own father's children. You mean
Yeah.
instead of brothers and sisters? Well, Paddy had, as I said, 2. Yes, you're absolutely right there. We have very, very few.
You have only 3 cousins on your father's side.
Yeah, Willie had none. Of course, Joseph had the 1. John had none. Martin had none. Paddy had 2. Denny had no children. Kate had no children. Yeah, absolutely. We're very thin on the ground, I'm afraid, in that area.
I mean, when they have children, they seem to be really productive.
Yeah.
I mean, your grandfather and your father seem to be very productive, but
Yeah, we didn't have TV that time.
yeah. Okay.
Right.
Plenty of room for us rest. There's plenty of room here for brothers and sisters.
Yeah, we put you down to say it's how many years it takes to disintegrate from wood and everything, you know?
20 years.
They have a very we'll have to make one.
You got a pencil on you there, pen?
Not me. But John, I made one out for you. It's made out in pen. And I've shown that, you know, like Joe and Preston.
There's all the,
well, that's the current. There's the current family.
there's all the time he resigned on the job or retired.
Who retired?
All the, from the lads from England.
Oh, from England.
This is your retirement.
The retirement card. From all the English lads.
I had a retirement card and some smart guy.
David Taylor.
Huh?
Yeah.
And
Now,
the
do you know this chap up there, Howard is his name, up here on the left hand, right hand corner.
what's his name?
Howard.
Yeah.
He's a nephew of
Douglas.
Douglas Howard.
Is he?
Oh, the cabinet minister under the Tories, eh?
Some half-years.
So I give you the names on this, will I?
Some
Yes,
smart
please.
guys put a mic card.
Through this.
Of course, where are you going to get the water from? Yeah?
Because
Tell you what,
I asked your man from Ballyburn, what's his name?
I don't know what his name is.
He's a nephew because Maxim.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
You know that I'm talking about, redheaded lad.
Yeah.
I asked him to you give me a price, but
Do it yourself.
oh yeah, I mean he frightened me with the price, you know.
I was thinking of myself, but I hadn't the time. I would go up.
Tell you, if you ever wash an animal that's got any mildew and stuff on it, you can buy expensive stuff. Buy ordinary bleach.
That's what I'm saying, bleach, yeah.
Bleach, yeah.
That's what I
But
was
again, it'll burn your hands if it's raw, you know. The bleach
Well,
will over it.
instead of the bleach, what they use for a good score is caustic soda.
Yeah, that's
But then you have to have rubber gloves and everything.
yeah, but-
And you know,
But the bleach is less.
The caustic soda, you see, if you put the caustic soda on it,
It'll probably damage the stone, you know.
not only that, but it's, you know the print on the plank,
you take that
they
out.
take it out, when the bleach
Or
works.
they take it and bleach it, you know.
And I would think the caustic soda will erode the stone as well.
It's very severe.
You don't want to chemically wear away the stone.
I've got a brick house, you know, it gets a bit mildew now and again in places. I just get a brush and put them, but not raw bleach, I mean half and half. You know. It doesn't bleach it, all it does is go back to the original.
I use that, man. You watch any movie, you know, you go and see all the stuff.
What's this about? Someone behind me, you know, as Laney. I mean,
Huh?
that's normal, I think, in the Laney family.
What?
Call him for short, Laney.
Lenny,
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know that.
I noticed it, you know, and I
Not
saw
that.
it before.
It's not on that,
It is, yeah.
as I said.
The Laney, and then in brackets afterwards was Laney.
Sure, very good.
It tells the same story, you know. But apparently, this old lady, she wrote a letter to the post, addressed to the post office, said, post office, there was Santa Claus, the CEO in care of the post office, Lapland. Of course, that's the closest place, obviously. So that the people in the sorting office said, well, let's open it up, you know. I said, I'm a poor old lady living on my own. I've only got the old age pension, which is nothing. And I'd love to have a decent Christmas. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have a decent. I never had a proper Christmas, you know.
Yeah.
And if you could possibly send me £100 to make my Christmas, you know. So the chaps, you know, read it and they said, well, you know, she is bad and we have a few spare pounds. So I made a collection around the sorting office.
Got £100.
But they didn't get £100. They got about 99. So they put 99 in an envelope, sealed it up, but they put a letter in there that said, from Santa Claus, we hope you have a good Christmas from us, you know, at the sorting office. Anyway, a letter came back after Christmas, and it said, Dear Santa, care of Lapland, care of the post office Lapland. It says, I had a lovely Christmas. Thank you all very much. We said, I was £1 short. It was probably those thieving bastards in the sorting office.
See the case on the national
I
station?
did. That was all the post. That chap.
Ah, yeah.
So he did over here. Very nice lad.
Yeah.
Been living there since we went up.
Oh, he's very good. Yeah.
James for our
James the Rock, yeah.
Yeah.
The Rock's in.
What was with this?
You know the Eurocs, Montgomery Street.
Is he one of those?
First cousin of Tommy Rocks. Yeah. So
Well,
Yeah.
So what is the story about the
where's
first one?
Ballycarn?
Remember his father working
This guy's
he's-
talking about
he,
his
he has a bungalow, he lives out there.
I come with something else.
He married to Brian and East, dog.
Cheerio, Paddy. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, the brothers.
Get in there, Denny. Get in there. Get in there.
Bye-bye, Dinny. God bless you.
Right.
Okay. Cheers, uncles. Bye. Take care. Well, Dad. Back again in September.
Pardon? Oh, we should be here in September. I hope.